The heavy summer air of Savannah pressed down like a damp blanket, clinging to the streets and historic stone paths long after midnight. The scent of jasmine floated through the stillness, mixing with the salty breath of the nearby river. Spanish moss draped from ancient oak trees, barely moving under flickering gas lamps that cast uneven golden pools of light across the empty sidewalks. Officer Lena Evans moved through this familiar darkness with calm precision. In her mid-20s, disciplined and alert, she carried herself with quiet confidence earned through training and long nights on patrol. Beside her sat Apollo, her K-9 partner, a powerful German shepherd with a sable coat and sharp, intelligent eyes. Even resting, he remained alert. They were a well-known team in this part of the city, often patrolling the upscale historic district filled with tourists, mansions and hidden dangers lurking beneath elegance. The night shattered without warning. A violent mechanical scream tore through the silence as a steel-blue Maserati roared around the corner, tires shrieking against the cobblestones. The driver barely avoided slamming into a parked carriage before swerving directly into the path of a late-night tourist trolley. Passengers screamed as the trolley screeched to a halt inches from disaster. The sports car hesitated for only a second before revving again and speeding away. Lena reacted instantly. Lights flashed red and blue, sirens slicing through the humid air as she maneuvered her cruiser expertly to block the narrow street. The Maserati skidded before stopping. Lena secured Apollo safely in the vehicle with the engine running and approached the driver. The young man stumbling out of the car reeked of expensive alcohol. His silk shirt hung open, his confidence dripping with entitlement. Lena recognized him immediately, Nico Petrillo, son of one of Savannah's most powerful and untouchable crime figures. Instead of cooperating, Nico sneered, slurring insults before dialing his father. Lena remained calm, administering a field sobriety test with clinical precision. Nico failed every step, barely staying upright. When Lena announced the arrest, panic flashed across his face. That's when everything changed. Bright headlights flooded the street. A black Escalade slid into place, boxing them in. 4 men in tailored suits stepped out, disciplined, silent, and dangerous. Before Lena could react, they moved. Her weapon was ripped away. Her radio smashed to the ground. Arms locked around her, holding her helplessly in place. Nico smiled. Then he turned his attention to Apollo. Apollo's barking echoed desperately from inside the cruiser as Nico gave the order. Lena screamed, fighting with everything she had, but the men restraining her were professionals. They moved with practiced brutality. When the K-9 door opened, Apollo launched forward, trained to protect his handler without hesitation. He never stood a chance. Steel-toed boots struck him with calculated force. One kick to the ribs, another to the side, each blow landing with horrifying precision. Apollo yelped in pain, his body slamming against the stone street. The men continued, their laughter mixing with the sickening sound of impact. Lena's screams tore through the night as tears streamed down her face. Nico watched with cruel satisfaction. From the shadows, someone else watched too. Harvey Mitchell, Navy SEAL on leave, had been walking the streets to quiet the war still raging in his mind. The scream reached him not as sound but as instinct. He melted into darkness, observing the scene with lethal focus. One officer restrained. One K-9 being beaten. 4 attackers. The assessment took seconds. Harvey moved. The lookout by the Escalade collapsed without a sound. A joint snapped. A breath vanished. In seconds 2 attackers were down. The third turned, too slow. A precise strike dropped him to his knees, gasping. The final man used Lena as a shield, tightening his grip around her throat. Harvey didn't hesitate. He stepped in, used the dangling handcuffs and turned them into a weapon. The man's hold broke as he collapsed unconscious. The entire encounter lasted less than 12 seconds. Silence followed. Nico stood frozen, staring at his fallen men. Harvey ignored him. Lena collapsed beside Apollo, sobbing. Harvey checked the dog's pulse, weak but present. Without wasting a second, he lifted Apollo into the cruiser and drove like a man possessed, lights blazing through empty streets. They reached the emergency vet in minutes. Inside the sterile brightness, technicians rushed Apollo into surgery. Lena's shock finally broke her strength. She couldn't even hold a pen to fill out the paperwork. Harvey did it for her, calm, precise, unwavering. When the doctor delivered the truth, broken ribs, punctured lung, internal bleeding, Lena felt the world collapse. Apollo's life hung by a thread. As surgery began, Harvey didn't offer false comfort. He offered something stronger. "He's not a pet," he said quietly. "He's a warrior." Hours later, Lena sat alone under harsh fluorescent lights, replaying every moment in her mind, the kicks, the sound Apollo made, her own helplessness. When the doctor finally returned, his expression was tired but hopeful. Apollo had survived. The relief hit her like a wave, breaking every wall she had built. She collapsed into Harvey's arms, sobbing with gratitude and exhaustion. He held her, not as a hero, not as a soldier, but as someone who understood loss and survival. But the danger wasn't over. By morning, Nico Petrillo was already free. His father's influence moved faster than justice. Captain Miller warned Lena plainly, she had stepped into something far bigger than a DUI arrest. Then the lawyer came. Julian K. approached her with polished threats masked as offers. Money. Donations. A rewritten report. When Lena refused, the smile vanished. The warning was clear. This city could be very dangerous. Harvey didn't ignore the threat. He reinforced her apartment, upgraded her locks, and quietly watched from the shadows. That night, when men with crowbars came to her door, they never reached it. Harvey handled them. The department, under pressure, turned on Lena next. Internal affairs. Desk duty. Isolation. The Petrillo family was rewriting the narrative, painting her as the problem. But Harvey saw the real plan. Expose them. Using their own arrogance, Lena agreed to a meeting, wired, monitored, and protected from the shadows. The trap was set, but it went wrong. Nico arrived armed, with mercenaries and a sniper waiting. Harvey adapted instantly. Power went out. Darkness fell. Chaos erupted. One by one, the mercenaries were neutralized, not killed but removed. In the darkness, Lena found her training again. She disarmed Nico herself and snapped the cuffs closed. This time there was no escape. Sirens arrived. Evidence recorded. The truth finally surfaced. The fallout was swift and unstoppable. Federal investigators descended on Savannah. The Petrillo empire collapsed under the weight of recorded confessions, illegal operations, and violent crimes. Nico was charged. His father disappeared into legal oblivion. Lena was cleared. More than that, she was vindicated. A week later, under a bright sky in Forsyth Park, Apollo ran again. His ribs were still healing, wrapped in protective support, but his spirit was unbroken. He chased a blue ball with the same determination that had once saved his partner's life. Harvey watched from a distance. They stood together briefly, two warriors from different worlds connected by one night. Harvey was leaving again, back to places Lena could never follow. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't need to. As he vanished into the crowd, Lena looked down at Apollo, strong and alive, and understood something deeply. Darkness will always exist. But so will those who step out of it, quietly, decisively, to protect the light.